Director James Cameron recently revealed that he's working on a script for Terminator 7, and here's what we know so far about this much-anticipated legacy sequel. The Terminator franchise kicked off in 1984 with Cameron's surprise hit, The Terminator. This film introduces a relentless cyborg assassin sent from the future to eliminate Sarah Connor before she can give birth to the future savior of humanity. The success of this 80s classic led to an even bigger hit in the 90s with Terminator II: Judgment Day, solidifying the franchise as a major cinematic force. Despite the impressive start with the first two films, the franchise has faced a series of missteps, with each new sequel, spin-off, or reboot failing to make a significant impact. Attempts to reinvent the series continued, but the 2019 release, Terminator Dark Fate, was a major disappointment and seemed to signal the end for the franchise. Since then, the series has been largely inactive, with other franchises continuing to produce new installments. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, a key figure in the series, announced his permanent exit from the franchise. However, James Cameron, the creator of the original films, is now stepping back into the spotlight with promising news about Terminator 7. Fans of the franchise will be eagerly awaiting to see how Cameron plans to revive and potentially reinvigorate the series with this new installment. Edward Furlong, who played John Connor in Terminator II: Judgment Day, had a pretty interesting take on the opening scene of Terminator Dark Fate. His reaction shows just how tough it's going to be for Terminator 7 to bring the franchise back to its former glory. Over the years, different actors have taken on the role of John Connor at various ages, but the version from T2 is definitely the most iconic. Judgment Day is often hailed as the best Terminator movie for a bunch of reasons, including the strong bond between John and the reprogrammed T-800 who learns from his human friend. Unfortunately, none of the Terminator movies that came out after T2 managed to capture what made the 1991 film so great. Terminator Dark Fate tried something bold by killing off John Connor with a mix of performances, including some motion capture work by Furlong right at the start of the film. On the Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum podcast, Furlong talked about his reaction to the scene, saying he was puzzled by how they planned to kill off T2's John Connor. And I didn't understand, how the hell are they going to do that? I don't know, it just felt a little bit like a whatever happened to baby Jane situation. Having that said, John Connor's death in Terminator Dark Fate was meant to be a major game-changing moment that would justify Sarah Connor's story arc in the film and set it apart from previous entries. Unfortunately, this bold move backfired. The film's opening sequence, which featured a CGI recreation of T2 John Connor, ended up feeling emotionally flat and uncanny. Instead of delivering a powerful moment, it came across as a soulless and strange attempt to revisit one of the franchise's most iconic characters. The decision to kill off John Connor was intended to distinguish Dark Fate from the other sequels by effectively erasing the continuity of Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, and even the Sarah Connor Chronicles. By eliminating John shortly after the events of T2, Dark Fate aimed to create a fresh narrative path. The idea was that John's death would elevate the stakes, suggesting that no character was safe and setting the tone for the new story. However, this approach had significant downsides. John Connor, alongside the T-800 and Sarah Connor, is one of the most crucial characters in the franchise. Using him merely as a plot device, especially through such a brief and poorly executed sequence, diminished his importance. The death of a character as central as John should have had a more profound impact on the series, rather than being used just to set up a new film. Furthermore, this plot twist undermines the significance of T2, making its events seem pointless and effectively disrupt the canon of what many consider the best Terminator movie. As James Cameron continues to develop the script for Terminator 7, there's a new twist. Linda Hamilton has announced she's officially done with the franchise. Hamilton, who first appeared as Sarah Connor in The Terminator 4 decades ago, returned for Terminator 2: Judgment Day and again for Terminator Dark Fate. However, she's made it clear that she's not interested in reprising her role, stating, "I'm done. I have nothing more to say. The story's been told." Hamilton's departure presents a significant challenge for the franchise, especially given Arnold Schwarzenegger's previous announcement that he's also stepping away from future sequels. The Terminator series has heavily relied on the star power of its returning actors, and attempts to continue without them, like in Terminator Salvation, struggled due to the lack of familiar faces. With Hamilton out of the picture, it's unclear who James Cameron might cast for Terminator 7. It seems unlikely that Sarah Connor will be part of the new storyline, leaving fans to wonder how the franchise will move forward without its iconic leads. Even though James Cameron is excited about the prospect of bringing Terminator 7 back to the big screen, the film is still far from being confirmed. According to Cameron, the project is still in the script phase, and it's uncertain if it will ever move beyond that. The Terminator franchise has a notoriously complicated rights history, with intellectual property bouncing around between different parties over the years. While Cameron created the series, he doesn't have sole control over the rights, which could make the development of Terminator 7 more challenging. Assuming Terminator 7 isn't a complete reboot with an entirely new cast, it'll need to handle John Connor much better than its predecessors did. Given the backlash against Dark Fate for killing off John, it's clear that any new installment should avoid repeating this mistake. Even if the film aims to distance itself from Sarah and John, John Connor remains too significant to the franchise's lore to ignore entirely. John Connor has been a constant presence in nearly every Terminator film, from minor cameos to major roles. Regardless of the timeline or the direction a new movie takes, as long as it involves the ongoing battle between humans and machines, it will need to acknowledge John Connor. One of the ongoing issues with the Terminator franchise is its struggle to move beyond its iconic characters, especially Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800. Striking the right balance between honoring the legacy of the original films and introducing fresh elements is likely to be the biggest challenge for Terminator 7. As for what John Connor's role should be in Terminator 7, it's crucial that this new iteration of the character breaks away from the previous versions. One intriguing approach would be to introduce a completely fresh version of John Connor, whose story is independent of any past films. This could involve setting the film in the present day, with a new take on a younger John Connor, or envisioning him in a future scenario that showcases the leader of the Resistance in a novel light. By doing so, the film would avoid the pitfalls that plagued Dark Fate, which disrupted the continuity established by Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Terminator 7 will need to make a clear decision early on about whether John Connor will be a central character or just a piece of a broader narrative featuring new protagonists. If the film opts for a reboot, it could offer its own unique take on John Connor, potentially reinventing him in a way that adds fresh perspectives while honoring the franchise's core elements. Movies like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Prey have successfully revitalized their respective franchises while respecting the original material, demonstrating that it's possible to breathe new life into a series even with a reboot. This approach could help Terminator 7 reinvigorate the franchise and captivate both new and old fans alike. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.